And now it's my pleasure to introduce our panelist for today's broadcast, Daphne Williams. Daph is a Senior Director of Advisory Services and leads the APAC Advisory Service at Radius. Fluent in French, Daph works with businesses expanding into Australia and other Asia-Pacific nations. Prior to joining Radius, Daph worked for PwC and Arthur Andersen in London, Paris, and Sydney, working on international mobility solutions for multinational companies and their employees. Over to you, Daph.
Well, thank you, Ed. If you could move the slides on, Ed, I'll just take the audience through the agenda. I'm based in Australia, but my focus is for the Asia-Pacific region for Radius, so hence today I'm going to take you through the region, give you a slight overview of some of the common themes occurring across the region, look at some specific countries that our clients commonly ask us questions about, and some of the issues arising in those countries. Then we'll have a little Q&A session towards the end of the webinar. So if you could move the slide on, Ed, please. First of all, just wanted to start with a very quick geography lesson. This is the Asia-Pacific region. It's defined in many different ways by many different organizations. But for Radius, this is what we think of when we're advising our clients. It starts with India and goes right across to New Zealand. Those are the flags. That's the geography lesson, really. So if we can move the slide on, please, Ed. I have a few little facts dotted through this webinar as well. This is one of the first ones, and why many of our clients want to establish their operations in Asia Pacific. It still is by a long way the fastest growing region in the world. There are some very large economies that everybody knows of in the region. There are some very small economies which are developing rapidly in the region as well, and all together that adds up to what is considered quite sluggish growth for the region at the moment. It's just been revised down by the World Bank to 6%, largely falling back a little bit because of the China slowdown. But then we have other countries like India as well increasing their rate of growth. We have a lot of the other smaller nations in Southeast Asia also experiencing anywhere between 5 and 10% growth. So all in all, it adds up to the fastest growing region in the world as usual. Move the slides on, please, Ed. So in the last 6, say 9 months or so, that the Asia Pacific region has been regularly in the economic news. At the tail of 2014, there were a whole rash of economic development summits, culminating in the G20, which took place in Australia in November last year. There was the very high-profile announcement at the end of last year as well, that China and the US with bilateral emissions agreement. And then again at the end of last year, Australia signing quite a few free trade agreements, but most notably at the end of the year with China. So that was 2014 that was putting Asia Pacific on the map. And then in 2015, there's been a few, certainly the China growth rate slowing down has been a major headline in this region, and clearly that has an effect globally. But at the same time, the Indian economy, again with the new reforms from the new government, is showing some signs of increasing as well, their rate of growth. So that's been compensating the China slowdown a little bit. One of the other smaller nations in the region, Myanmar, that has been breaking all records for the inflow of foreign direct investment. Telecommunications is a very big investor in Myanmar at the moment. That's 2015 so far. Next slide, please, Ed. I thought the audience might find it interesting just to see from Radius' perspective where we do most of our work, where our clients ask for assistance. And these are the top 6, not necessarily in order, but China certainly is probably the major destination of our clients. And we're advising clients on all aspects of their international operations, establishing an ongoing support in all 6 of these countries.